The ancestors have spoken. The oldest antebellum style plantation went up in motherfucking flames today. The ancestors shook that motherfucker down to the ground. No more money will be made off our goddamn backs. No more tours, no more weddings, no more shindigs. A total goddamn loss. The antebellum style plantation was 166 years old. And they thought it would withstand the test of time. It withstood Katrina. It withstood hurricane after hurricane after hurricane until the ancestors said, enough. Today was the goddamn day. The antebellum style Nottoway plantation was located in between Baton Rouge and New Orleans. Not anymore. Again, no more money will be made off our goddamn backs. Now run along. And toodaloo.
Hi guys, welcome back to our channel. In case you're new here, my name is Maren.
And I'm Maureen.
Right, so in today's episode, it's gonna be about the very trending news of the burning of the plantation, the biggest plantation in America called the Nottoway, yeah? Right, so in Black Americans' eyes, they see as the spirits have come, the spirits of their ancestors have come to claim what is theirs and tear down what is considered a very painful past of their ancestors' history.
Right.
But the white community is not necessarily pleased with how the Black Americans are taking this news. For them, they think that Black Americans are mocking a historical site where they can get married, and just generally, I feel like they have a romanticized idea of what Nottoway presented because even the news that wrote this article, it's called the NOLA News. They were saying that this was the Nottoway resort, whereas Black Americans are terming it, they say that they should call it what it was, Nottoway Plantation,
yeah,
not
guys.
resort. Right, but we don't talk a lot. Let's just watch what we prepared for you and then we come back and talk about it. And also, I was quite surprised as well to go into TikTok and you're seeing on the comment section, a lot of white people are really not happy about how Black Americans are rejoicing on this. But do I say, let's watch and then we come back and talk about it, guys. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, yeah?
Right.
Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Let's watch.
To the white people that are so fucking mad that we don't give a fuck about that Nottoway fucking plantation that was just burned down, fuck you. First of all, why the fuck would we give a fuck about a plantation that our ancestors were slaved on, murdered, hung, beat, raped, and forced into fucking labor, forced to pick fucking cotton as they hands bleed? Bitch, we don't give a fuck that y'all mad. Let that mother burn. And to all the people that say, oh, it's for the history, we humbly decline. Fuck history, because y'all done played in our face too long. Y'all talking about history when bitch, all we see is fucking movies about slavery. This, oh massa, oh come on massa. How many movies was it? Did we even need all them fucking movies? Write it down, take a picture, but we didn't need that fucking plantation to be standing there long anyway. Thanks, Annabelle.
He had the most in this region, and that's because when he purchased a slave, if the slave had a wife and children, he'd buy the whole family so that they would never be separated. And so that was good for them. And then in the village, he built a cottage for each of those families so they didn't have to share with multiple families and squeeze into one space. So that was good too. They could hunt, they could fish, so they could buy for their own food. And they also built a hospital for them, and there was a doctor who would visit every week. And the doctor trained one of the slaves to be a nurse to take care of them. So from the readings that we have, it sounds like the slaves were treated fairly well as the slave can be treated, considering the conditions. When the war ended, the majority of the slaves stayed here. And we actually have descendants of the slaves who still work here today.
What?
Now,
So that's a woman who was giving a little bit of history about the place here.
Yeah.
And she's saying it, I'm surprised that she's saying it like it was a good thing, you know.
Yeah.
The way she's speaking like she's romanticizing the actions of the person who owned this Nottoway plantation.
Right.
And furthermore, when she said that there are
Descendants.
the descendants of slaves who used to live there, who are still working on this plantation.
Why would a black person whose ancestors went through so much want to continue living through those memories? Because I do believe there's this gate of no return in Ghana. Just the presence of black Americans being there, I do understand that they really get emotional about that. And even Ghanaians themselves, when they go to that place, like there's that feeling you get from really looking at what the ancestors had to go through. So how does a black person work there without experiencing all these emotions? Was there really a black person who worked there before it burnt? I'd like to know, you know. Let's keep on watching.
Fire-ups at Nottoway Resort. Charring Plantation building. Not the day that she... Not a major plantation burning down the day that Annabelle arrived. You know what? You know what? Yeah.
You know, the fact that this news station, NOLA, was referring to this Nottoway plantation as a resort is even baffling to me.
Because they sugarcoat things, you know.
Right, because what I know for a fact is, especially white couples usually like to get married in these plantations. And one person I know for sure who's done this kind of thing or was accused of doing this kind of thing was Blake Lively. Right, Blake Lively. And I'm just wondering, how can you start a chapter of your life with someone in a place where it carries so many horrors and memories that people don't want to remember?
Right.
Ghosts that are haunting that place. That is where you go to commit your marriage. Anyway, guys, let's keep watching.
I keep telling y'all, these spirits that you keep playing with, keep joking about, are not playing with you. So you see that Nottoway Plantation just so happened to burn down. A plantation that slaves built. A plantation that's been around since 1859. Just out of the blue, it burned down. Matter of fact, look at this shit. Look at this. So you telling me that just randomly happened? That fire just randomly started? Yeah, okay. You got these people playing around with this Annabelle doll that's on tour. You got people calling on spirits that they're not supposed to be calling on, and look what happened. And let me say this. A lot of people are upset because this house burned down. What about the people that built that plantation? What about the slaves that built that plantation? See, what a lot of people don't understand is in Louisiana, these plantations still exist. We just don't know about them. We just don't hear about them. But they are still there. Which means what? It means those spirits are still there. And it also means that some of those spirits were waiting in the afterlife for that plantation to be gone. Somebody's ancestors risked their life to build that. I'll tell you what I do know. I know for a fact that if you call on something and it hears you, it will definitely come, whether you believe it or not. I took a trip to New Orleans, and let me tell you this. When I took that trip, my spirit didn't feel right. It's a wonderful town. I enjoyed myself, but my spirit didn't feel right. I don't have bad things to say about Louisiana, but what I will say is my spirit felt that something is there. And this right here proves exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all better learn how to leave well enough alone, or you're gonna find yourself in a situation that you can't get out of. I'm out.
I feel like he's not wrong. I've also heard about another place that people suspect that the spirit of the ancestors is still present. And that place is Lake Lanier. I do believe that a lot happened there, and there's so much history in that place that there are things that happen in the present that people don't consider normal, you know.
Right, and you know, the most baffling thing about such plantations is white people keep owning such even after decades have passed, you know. And I do get that to some communities it might be history being preserved, but what kind of history is being preserved? The bad thing about such places is they usually sugarcoat what happened there, and they whitewash the history on the black side. You get what I'm saying?
Right. I feel like that's a lot of hypocrisy on their side, because just the other day Donald Trump was destroying black history. So it's like you're choosing what history to destroy and what history to preserve for what purpose, you know.
Right, because as we've seen on the earlier clip, The lady was romanticizing this place like it was paradise,
Like
when
they were
every
saving
other
black people.
whereas every other place in America, slavery was horrible and black people were being treated badly. But in this plantation,
It was a
what is it
sanctuary
called?
for black
It
people.
was a sanctuary for black people. They were
Right.
lucky to be there.
Right. In the first place, it doesn't matter for what reason you bought people. Thing is, you still purchased human beings, and that in itself is wrong. So everything is just wrong about it, but let's continue.
Y'all ever hear about the deceased enslaved coachman who still thinks he's on the job to this day? Get your popcorn. On today's episode of plantations that should have been burnt to the damn ground but are now used as bed and breakfasts, event centers, and wedding venues, we have the Nottoway Plantation in White Castle, Louisiana, right off the Mississippi River. This place is massive, y'all. It is actually the largest standing plantation to date. It's 53,000 square feet, has 64 bedrooms, 12 hand-carved fireplaces, amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. It is really huge. A lot of people do stay here because it is a bed and breakfast as well, but this is a very hot spot for weddings. To be honest, this is probably the most breathtaking plantation I've ever seen in my life, y'all. Who would ever want to be married in a plantation? I don't know, but it happens. That's beautiful. That's really nice. Sensational. But like all plantations, this place has a wicked, evil past that has left a lot of souls behind, and the spirits pay reparation. The story starts out with John and Emily Randolph purchasing this plantation. Both of these people were very, very big socialites. They came from money. John's father, who was a senior, was appointed the federal judgeship of Mississippi by President James Monroe. It's not a lot of information on Emily's people other than her father gifted the couple 20 slaves and $20,000 as a wedding gift, which in today's currency is a lot of money. The plantation was to basically set roots and put their family, especially their kids, out into society. Now, initially, Emily's daddy wanted John to run a cotton farm, but John thought that it was oversaturated and decided to harvest sugarcane instead. So when they purchased Nottoway Plantation, they had 5,200 acres and 155 slaves to cater to those said acres. But these people were experiencing spiritual reparations far before the place was even reported haunted. During this time, America was in a civil war, and John pledged his finances, a bunch of money, and his firstborn son to the Confederacy. He actually had all three of his sons fight in the war, but only one was killed, and that was the first son, which we know back then was the golden child, your heir. So this crushed John, but that didn't move him to treat his slaves well. Lynchings, beatings, grapings, unaliving, bug breaking, all of that was a normal, common thing at this plantation. This house remained with them up until 1889 after John's death, and Emily sold it. And for a time it had deteriorated and almost was nothing, which would have served it right, but then someone bought it. We'll get to that later. Ghost number 1, the coachman. So if you don't know what a coachman is, it is the man that is driving the horse and carriage. And John had a very loyal coachman. To this day, people see this coachman at the gates waiting with the horse and carriage and everything, except there are no horses or carriages on this property. They hear the horses galloping in the middle of the night. They hear the wheels turning on the pavement. They hear the bell. This man shows up at least a couple nights a week. Guests, staff, everyone that steps foot on here has reported seeing him. Ghost number 2. The carriage house is haunted by a little slave girl. No one has the details on this little girl, but it's assumed that she was either lynched or died in a very, very slavish way. The little girl was reported to die over 150 years ago, but they see her playing in the carriage house. They've built a parking lot for their events, and they see her in the parking lot. There's also said to be security footage with her clear as day, skipping around the property, playing, acting as if she were still alive, like she doesn't even realize that she's not. But of course, they'll never let us see that because this is a major moneymaker for whoever owns it now. And who wants to have their wedding at a place that is full of black spirits? But she spooks security on a regular basis to the point that some of them have resigned. This is room 14 and ghost number 3. Remember earlier I told you guys someone bought this property. Well, in 1980, a lady named Odessa Owens purchased the property and turned it into what it is today. She eventually sold, but it was only under one condition: if the new owners would allow her to die in this room. And they did. But it's said that she never left. She never checked out. Several brides, grooms, groomsmen, bridesmaids, staff, housekeeping have reported seeing a full apparition of Miss Odessa in this room. One housekeeper came out of the bathroom in this room, an ensuite, and seen a full body apparition sitting at the edge of the bed. She stood up and she dissipated into air. It scared her so much she quit. But there's also another spirit that occupies this room that they know is not Odessa. Whoever it is, they have taken a liking to women with long hair, and they love to plan their hair or touch the back of their neck or run their hands up the back of their neck into the back of their head. And it doesn't matter if you're in the shower, sitting down, like laying down, whatever this spirit is has a thing for women with long hair. So much so, a bride was staying in this suite and decided by morning she was not getting married there. People have also reported looking in that mirror and in the back of them, they see an apparition of a woman. All in all, this place is haunted as hell, and I don't know one sane person with moral compass that would ever want to get married at a plantation. Because if I know spirit the way I think I know spirit, spirit is petty. I'd actually like to know the divorce rate of couples that get married on plantations, especially this one. But whatever. All in all, the story of Nottoway Plantation and its hauntings make me really sad for my enslaved people, because they are still working and moving along this property as if they don't understand that they're not alive anymore. It's almost like purgatory. And then this place is right off the Mississippi River, which is its own video and spiritual hub in itself. Like, why would you ever want to start your life with your significant other here? It's the brazen weirdness and low-key disrespect for me, but y'all do you. So if you ever want to fuck around and find out, you can get married at the Nottoway Plantation. Do good and be good.
So guys, welcome back. Let us know what you think about this episode on the comment section, yeah? While some Black Americans do believe that genuinely this was the handiwork of the ancestors, I feel like it's quite funny that somebody would want to consciously go and get married in such a place that, to be quite honest, even if you sugarcoat it, for a plantation this big, you have to know that good things didn't happen in this plantation, you know?
Right, and it's often said, I don't know how many of you have watched this program that used to come to in TLC, the channel TCL, and it was called Teresa. She was a seer or something, Teresa Caputo. And in this program, she used to talk to dead spirits, to spirits, right? And she categorized this spirit, and there is this one in particular. She used to say a spirit that attaches to someone. If you go into where that spirit is,
you come out with that
spirit, it will haunt you even in your own house because it will follow you to where you're going, right? So, and I'm asking myself, people who go to get married in such places, and you heard of that ghost that loves long hair. How are people not afraid of these spirits going with them home? Because I used to hear that spirits and ghosts, these are not just spirits and ghosts. These are demons masquerading as people you used to know.
But we don't know. We are not specialists in
this area.
But what I do know is, whatever Maureen has said, are these people not afraid of those kind of spirits that attach themselves to human beings, and you going back to wherever you're coming from with those spirits, you know?
And you know, the funniest thing is, in every video that I checked of this story, a lot of white people in the comments section of these videos of black speakers, they were really angry of the fact that Black Americans were celebrating that ancestors burnt down such a house instead of having compassion for a historic historic
who?
sighting like those ones, you know, places that have provided good wedding venues. You know, this
The
is
things
why I
you care
usually say,
about.
yeah, this is why I usually say there can be two races viewing a situation, but they're viewing it from two very different lenses.
Yeah.
And this is why I say maybe most palm-colored people even go to get married in this plantation because the idea of plantations
It's
has been
romanticized very
romanticized
deep.
so much, and it's very different from how black people view the image of plantation.
Right, and another thing that bothered me, guys, was the fact that these people were still making money off of the struggle of black Americans, you know, because when you look at the history of this plantation site, you can see that a lot of the activities, economic activities that were going on there were propelled by the black slaves that were held in that particular home. For example, the sugarcane plantation, it was being catered to by
155 slaves,
And it
and
was
the
how many acres?
the plantation itself was 55,000 or 50,000 acres.
Yeah, so
can you
imagine
imagine
just
155 people working on such a big piece of land?
Right, that is quite, I would say, like for any human being, that is quite torturous and tiresome, you know.
Right.
And so you look at the modern day society and the way they've, should we call it refurbished the place? They're making it look golden and shiny and selling it to couples. This idea of getting married in such a big, historical, beautiful figure. For them,
They're
it's a
calling
nice
it the
history,
Nottingham
right?
Resort, but to the black community,
You know what
they
it
know
is.
it as not Nottingham, but Nottoway, Nottoway Plantation. And you know, I'm just asking myself, if they keep erasing history like this and whitewashing history like this, when will their descendants ever learn the true magnitude of what they did to the black community in order for them to start developing compassion to the black community?
Right, yeah, because I do believe those weddings, this place is big, and I do believe for you to be able to even afford to get married to such
there.
a place, you have to be moneyed, you know. So they're making a good amount of money from this place, and I do believe if you follow records, you can find descendants of enslaved former slaves who used to live in this place and work in this place. How about
that
a noble,
town?
exactly, a noble thing to do would be trace these descendants, and whatever money you're making off of this historical monumental building, you call it, how about taking it and giving it to the descendants, because the descendants are still feeling the effects up to date, you know.
Right, and this is why I usually say, I have seen on Discovery Channel and other channels, ghost hunters. Most of them are usually white people who hunt ghosts. So to me, it is quite funny.
Their fascination with ghosts.
I really don't know. Even the ones who go to get married in such plantations, the fascination with ghosts, I just really don't. I don't get it. You know?
Guys, let us know, what do you think?
Yeah, because whereas black communities, when they hear this place is haunted, they
wouldn't.
respect it and they don't go close
there.
to that place, because you know black people understand it, you know.
Right.
But white people, do they not have an understanding of how ghosts are like? I feel like sometimes most of them who usually run towards that direction, they even want to make the ghosts their best friends so that they can be talking with their imagine. I don't get it.
You've said that and you've reminded me of a cartoon that we used to grow up watching, Casper the friendly ghost. You see,
I bet the director and the writer were white too.
Anyway, we'll leave it at that, guys. Let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here. Unless, Maureen, you have any parting words?
My parting words, I do feel like when such sites burn down, white people should really understand where black people are coming from, because to them it's hurtful that their historic figures are being, but what about the black community?
Yeah, when it's being done to the black community, they have nothing to say,
about it.
Anyway, guys, let us know what you think about this episode in the comment section. Also consider subscribing if it's your first time here, and as usual, we want to thank you so much for creating time to join us on our episodes, right? Let's catch you on the next.